Hey Johnny, man, welcome back. How's the mosquitoes in Michigan?
I don't have a problem with them because we have this mosquito stuff we use. But if my wife gets bit one time and we're out on the deck or something,
Yep.
she's like, it needs to be sprayed again.
Yeah.
So I think they like her because she's a lot sweeter and
Uh,
prettier. To me, they
absolutely.
kind of stay away from. She's like the delicious cake, and I'm kind of like the rotten, cheese
Banana peel.
in the corner. They don't want to touch banana peel. But
I love it.
yeah,
I love
so
it.
I got to follow her lead on mosquitoes because I'm like, I haven't been bitten, honey, at all. She's like, I've been bitten 3 or 4 times. Well,
Yeah.
believe me, I'll be spraying mosquitoes.
That's right. That's right. Well, that's awesome. Hey, we are picking up. We're in the middle of this mini series now on Medicare. The Medicare mini series is what we're calling it with financial planning expert Johnnie Roberts and his special guest Steve Ahonen. And Steve's here. And last time we talked about Aunt Irma is what I'm calling her. And you've got to go back and listen to that because Irma's going to take a bunch of your money if you don't plan properly. And that whole planning starts with the conversation. Really, it's really simple, but every situation is different. Today we want to talk about a question that I have. Okay, I turned 59 this year and I'm planning to work until I'm probably 70, 72 because I love what I do and it's all mental and I can do this for a very long time. So I don't really think I don't know when I'm going to need Medicare, if I'm going to need it or not, but I want to talk about that because it's kind of like maybe Social Security that there's a special time you got to plan, get into it. You got to do it the right way and all of that. And I'm just ignorant. So I'm deferring to the experts here, Johnny. Why don't you and Steve help me understand a little bit more about this whole when to take it, when to apply, all of that, because I'm honestly ignorant. I just don't understand it. That's why I'm here today. Can you do that?
Yeah, I've got some good questions for Steve. So first of all, once again, he's a great friend, and we refer anybody that needs help with Medicare right to him. He's a friend and a teammate in this world we call retirement planning, and Medicare is such a pillar of that because, like we talked about, it can take some of your money and cost you money, some of the money you need to live off of if you're not wise and get some good guidance on it. So, and Steve's a local guy right here in Michigan too. So it's I should have mentioned this, but he's not one of the 800 number guys you call and talk to for 2 minutes and that's over. He's a lifetime partner with our clients, and his clients got thousands of them. So anyway, Steve, I'm gonna give you some scenarios, and you tell me what in the world we're supposed to do.
I'll do my
So
best.
let's start with this one first, man. I'm not going to do my Social Security till 70.
Okay.
Um, I say I quit working though. I'm not working anymore,
Okay.
but I'm just going to hold off on Social Security. I got
Okay.
plenty of money in the bank. I'm just going to live off of whatever. What's going on? When do I got to do this? How do I pay for it? What happens?
All right. So if you retire, the first question I'm going to ask you is who's supplying your health insurance, right?
Uh,
So go ahead, Johnny. Sorry.
no, I got to come to you.
Okay, so it's me. All right. So if it's me, you're through the marketplace. If you're through the marketplace at 65, and again, now we're getting in some of the under 65 stuff, which I do as well. But if you're over, you said you were 70, correct?
I'm about 66 right now, but I'm going to take my Social Security at 70.
At
I'm
70.
65.
So I
I'm
misunderstood.
65. I'm sorry. I'm
Okay, got it.
65, just retired. I'm going to take
Okay.
my Social Security at 70, but I'm not going to work anymore because I got plenty of money in the bank and I want to travel the world.
Okay. So it'll come down to a couple things. But if you're with me, if you're an existing client, we would have had this conversation a year ago or 6 months ago. But let's just say you called me up, hey Steve, my name's John. I'm retired. Or yeah, I'm not going to take Social Security till I'm 70, but I'm retired now. I'm just turning 65. I would probably look at Medicare rather than the marketplace. Look at getting into Medicare, presuming you're qualified for both parts A and B. And we haven't even talked about that. How do you qualify for Medicare? Most people in this country, directly or through their spouse, will qualify for parts A and B if they've worked for a few years. It's and paid into the system. That there's a bit more detail, but that's pretty much it. But we'll assume you've qualified for Medicare parts A and B. I would probably make the recommendation. I would ask you a few questions about your health, a few questions about your income, and say, Johnny, it's time to enroll. Quite frankly, the letter of the law with Medicare is you have 90 days prior to your 65th birthday, the month of your 65th birthday, and the 3 months after your 65th birthday to enroll in parts A and B. Most people will do it 3 months or within 3 months prior to their 65th birthday. Now, keep in mind, and again, your scenario is different here because you are not working. So you have to have health insurance. Most likely it's not being provided by your employer, correct?
Correct. Yeah, I just health insurance is over. I retired.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
it.
So I would have told you as a client of mine at least 90 days prior, but probably a minimum of 6 months, we would have gotten together and had this conversation. But with that being said, yeah, you would enroll in parts A and B, and that whole process has changed as well since COVID. Most of my clients, local folks here, they would walk into one of the local Social Security offices, bring their Social Security card and their driver's license, and half hour later walk out and they're done. There's no questions asked. Well, now probably 80 or 90% of my clients are enrolling online. It's not difficult, but there are a few snags through which I have coached people. There's 2 or 3 pointers that most people don't run into until they run into them, and then it's an all-out scramble to fix so that they have their cards, so their Medicare cards.
That's an interesting concept, Steve. It's online, it's easy to do. We're online all the time, and at the same time, if you miss one thing, it could really have some impact in your coverage and in your protection for your family and your health. And that can all be eliminated with a simple conversation, right?
Yeah, I'll tell you, if I may, if it's as appropriate, the one question that, and this is going to sound very odd, so I won't imply anything ever deceitful, but the one question that they will ask when you're applying for parts A and B, do you have group coverage? Now, if the person's applying, listen carefully, 3 months prior to their 65th birthday, they're going to retire on their 65th birthday. The honest answer to that question is yes. I happen to have Blue Cross Blue Shield for my wife and I through my employer. So they answer it yes. The algorithm that follows is a nightmare. What? It's a nightmare. And when we talk one-on-one, I'll explain why. I won't put this out there to the world, but it's absolutely incredible what will happen if you answer that question honestly with the presumption that you want to enroll in parts A and B on your 65th birthday. It throws a major curveball into it. So again, everybody would, they would answer the question, yeah, I've got Blue Cross Blue Shield right now through my employer for my wife and I. Answer that question, yes, with the presumption that you're enrolling in parts A and B on your 65th birthday, and your world will change overnight. Not being overly dramatic. It's a nightmare.
Wow.
Yes, that sounds
sorry.
Government 101.
Yeah.
So the question is, you said something about if you want to enroll, can you just get regular health insurance through the marketplace, or do you have to do A and B?
Great question. Okay, so 2 questions there. Can you just maintain health coverage through the marketplace? Yes, you can, as long as it's not subsidized, meaning you're not eligible for a tax credit. If you're currently on a subsidized marketplace plan, you will lose your subsidy. And if you lose your subsidy and you're 65, you will find that it's 99.9% of the time not only much less expensive to have Medicare, right? But it's better coverage than the marketplace, 99.99% of the time. Again, every situation's unique. That's why we have conversations, Q&A.
So really, if you're listening to this and you're 62, 63, 63 and a half,
right.
We talk about it, but this is when people need to be talking to you, not 2 months before or whatever. Hey, Steve, this is my plan.
Yeah.
What happens if this happens, and start planning for that, right?
Yeah, I would say 2 years out, 18 months to 2 years out. 2 years is probably the magic number because that's where Irma raises her ugly head. Sorry, Michael. Aunt Irma.
Aunt Irma, yeah. So really, for our listeners, when you hit 63, what's that the Beatles song? When I'm 63.
64.
64. Okay, well, the Beatles had it close. They didn't know Aunt Irma. But when you hit 63, you need to be talking to Johnny, who's going to be bringing in Steve, to really plan. This is what we're talking about, planning properly, because what's Johnny always say, right? In a sense, I'm going to slaughter this, Johnny, right? Pay as little in taxes as you can. Keep as much money of your money as you possibly can.
Maximize income, minimize taxes.
You say
Okay.
it so much more
4 words.
beautifully.
4 words, Mike.
All of this plays together because so many times, Johnny and Steve, that people think Medicare, health insurance, that's all it is.
Mm.
No, it actually impacts a lot of other aspects of retirement planning, income, all of that. So that's why we're pleading with you. Just have conversations. You know, Johnny doesn't charge you to come in and talk with him. Steve doesn't charge you to come talk with him. They are here to serve you. Take them up on that offer because this is a major, major decision.
Yeah. Let me get it. If we got time, a couple quick scenarios that we can just buzz through real quick. I'm 67. I'm still working, Steve. I got health insurance through my job.
Okay.
What do I do?
All right. Yeah. As long as your coverage through your employer is deemed compliant or creditable, I don't think I've run into a single plan that wasn't. So they've all been, usually employer insurance is pretty good. But assuming the plan is creditable according to Medicare guidelines, and I'll review that and let you know. I'll get, a benefits at a glance and review it if necessary. But I've never had one that wasn't compliant. So that's good news. You are not obligated to sign up for A and B. There are very, very rare circumstances where you must. I've never in my life, never in my career run into the case where that was the case, I should say, where you had to or to be penalized. Most people think, hey, I've got to sign up right now because if I don't, I'm going to be penalized. I love those clients because at least they're paying attention that there are penalties. There is risk that could be lifelong financial penalties. You don't want to do that. So with that being said, I will tell people, look, how long are you planning on keeping your employer coverage? Right? Is it compliant? Yes. How long are you keeping it? At that point, legally, 99.99999% of my clients, I don't think I've ever had one, will have compliant plans. They have no obligation legally. In other words, they will not be penalized if they don't sign up, as long as their plan is compliant, right? I would always review that with each unique client before making a blanket statement like that, but I've yet to have one who had a problem. So with that being said, they can keep what they've got as long as they wish, right? It's not like Social Security or other financial products where there's forced minimum required minimum distributions. With Medicare, I have people right now at 75 or 76 that are just signing up for Part A. First time. No penalties. They've had compliant coverage through their employer. Nice. So again, it's rare to go that long, but we are, Michael, you mentioned you're going to work maybe to 72. Yep. I don't know if I'll ever retire. My clients ask me that all the time. There's too much to do. There's too many people, in all fairness, that need help. I don't mean that in a dependent or bad way, but this stuff changes every year.
It does.
Every year.
And you're like the maze runner, man. You understand the maze better than most people. And Medicare is a maze for us who are on this side of it. We need somebody like Steve. And I know, Johnny, that's why you use him and refer people to him, because he's the expert in planning for Medicare for retirement. Now, Johnny, I know you had one more question as we wrap this thing up.
Yeah, one other quick one, Steve, is so it was going to be
or a scenario. Wasn't a question.
You told me so many good things that I
see. You even stumped me and Johnny. I mean, I can't.
My goodness.
And you know what? I tell you what.
This was it, Steve. Okay, so I retired. You kind of maybe answered this, but I just retired at 67. I'm one of the fortunate people. My company gives me health insurance the rest of my life.
Right.
Or whatever. What happens to that person? What do they need to know in that scenario? I got good health insurance. I'm going to keep my X plan as long as I live, and so will my spouse.
Yeah. So two things. It comes down to compliance, right? If the plan is compliant or creditable with CMS, there's no issue with that. And as long as the carrier, meaning their current insurance company through their employer, let's say they own the company. I just did a gentleman, I won't give his name, same thing. And once he was a very high income earner. So Aunt Irma reared her ugly head. So he says, I think it's time. He was almost 80, still on his Blue Cross Blue Shield employer plan. He was the owner of the company, had 4 or 5 employees, group plan, and he was going to get off. So I ended up doing quotes for him. And I said, his name was Lou. I said, Lou, we've got to look at your income and what you're showing, what you showed. Well, he was $1 million a year guy, right? So when I looked at his price, right, for Medicare, and this may or may not answer your question, his Part B premiums and Part B premiums and Part D premiums and penalties were twice what he was paying on his employer plan. So he's going to stick on that probably for as long as he legally can. I'm not aware, and in our next, if we have another episode, I will research if there is a drop dead date or age. I don't believe there is, but at some point the employer plan may end up costing so much that the move to Medicare will be natural and necessary.
But I think what I want to really emphasize here, Stephen, correct me if I'm wrong, but so even in that time period, let's say somebody's 75, 78, they're on a corporate plan of some nature, company plan,
Right.
and something happens and they need to pivot and now go into Medicare, there shouldn't be a penalty for them doing it at that time, correct?
Correct. As long as their plan was compliant, no
Awesome.
issue whatsoever.
I think that answered my question anyway.
Yeah.
I'm sure Johnny has other scenarios and things. I want to save those to the next episode because we talked about Aunt Irma last time. If you didn't meet Aunt Irma, go back to the last episode and listen to Aunt Irma. She's a cranky old lady. But this time we're talking about when do we apply for it? And there is a window for most people. Other people, well, it's a bigger window. So it's things like this that. Guys, when I listen to this, thank you so much for answering my question to closing that window, just so I can turn around and have 4 other windows open up because I got more questions. That's why we're coming back for another episode on this. So, Steve, you're not off the hook. Go do that research. We'll be back for another great episode, Johnny.
Yes, and once again, you need to get a hold of Steve. The easiest way is just you can go to Retired New Heights, hit us a contact information, put Medicare, whatever. We'll definitely get you right in touch with Steve.
I got it.
For sure.
Go when you type that in, say, I need to talk to the Medicare man. And that's going to help us understand that Steve Ahonen, the Medicare man. You can forget his name. He is now the Medicare man. And go to retireatnewheights.com and Johnny will connect you with him. Johnny, Steve, thank you. I can't wait for the next episode.
Thanks, gentlemen.
Sure.